Do you have an outstanding student loan? If you do, you may be one of up to 1 million people who overpaid it unnecessarily last year and can claim back hundreds or thousands of pounds. I'm Martin Lewis from MoneySavingExpert.com. Recently, my team put in a Freedom of Information request to the student loans company. We do this each year, and it showed over 1 million people overpaid in the 2022-23 tax year. And that adds on top of millions who've overpaid in previous years. And as there's no backdate to how far back you can reclaim, there are a lot of people out there who may be due money. So what I'm going to talk you through first is what the different categories where you may have overpaid are, and it's only if you unwittingly overpaid, if you voluntarily overpaid, you can't claim this back. And then I'll talk about how to reclaim the money for free, what the process is. Now, just to give you an example, as I say, some people can get thousands back, but I put this in my weekly email this week, and within 24 hours, I got this response from Charlotte. I'll read that to you to show you what this is about. Just thought I'd let you know that I made one phone call to the student loan company this morning after reading the MSE email. Turns out I paid too much 7 years ago during my first job. So I've got a refund of 180 quid. Quite pleased from making one phone call that lasted 5 minutes. Thank you. So I'm going to run you through the main overpayment categories now. The big one, and the vast majority, is 833,000 people repaid even though they don't earn enough to repay. Now, you'll know that you only repay your student loan if you earn over a set threshold. For most people, that threshold is just over £27,000, although depending when you started university and in which UK nation, it might be over £22,000. But I'm going to stick with the 27 grand as the example. So you only have to repay if you earn over £27,295. Let's take a twelfth of that, the sort of monthly average amount, and you get to £2,274. So because you pay this through the payroll, through PAYE, if you earn over £2,274 in a month, they take 9% of whatever is above that to go towards your student loan. But now let's imagine you only work 6 months of the year, or most months you earn below the 2,274, but you just got some bonus or you worked overtime, so a few months you earned above it. That may mean your student loan repayments were taken, even though in the tax year in total, April to April, you earned less than £27,295. If that happened, you repaid your student loan when you needn't have done so. So you are eligible to take that money back. It gets complicated here, but in the event that you paid too much in individual months, but you earned over the threshold for repaying in a year, you can't claim back. So this is only for people who in total earned under the threshold in a year. Next category is 165,000 people were on the wrong student loan repayment plan. The government tells firms, if they don't know which plan you were on, to default to Plan 1, which is where you start repaying over £22,000. Yet millions of you, the majority, are on plans where you pay over £27,000. So if you earned 24 grand and you were on the default, you would have repaid when you didn't need to do so. So you need to check with your company which plan you are on when it took your repayments, or previous companies, which plan you were on. You should be able to check this back from previous payroll statements if you have them. Getting a bit smaller now, 57,000 people had money deducted after the loan was fully repaid. So you had cleared your loan. This will tend to be older people because the loan is wiped after a set period, often 30 years. But again, there are 10 different variants of that depending when you started and in which UK nation you were in. Now, you will get that money back automatically. So this is less of a big deal, but it can take time. So you may want to look this up and get the money back quicker. To prevent that happening, by the way, for anybody else watching, you can now set up a direct debit for the last 2 years of your student loan repayment, so you can sort of stop it pretty quickly. And the final one of my 4 categories is 39,000 people started repaying their loans too early. You are only eligible to repay starting the April after you left university. So the April after you graduated, normally 9 months, or if you left university early, the April afterwards, with a slight exception for current students. If you started this year and only this year in England, then you only repay from April 2026. But let's not worry about this one. So sometimes companies don't know when you left university or they have the wrong details, in which case you start repaying when you shouldn't be repaying. And again, you can get that money back too. So the big question here, though, is just because you can claim the money back, should you? Now, normally, if we were talking about any other type of loan, I would be saying overpaying is a good thing because it means you pay it off quicker and less interest occurs. But the student loan does not work like a normal loan because it is wiped after a set time. Now, for most people, that's after 30 years, but it really does depend where and in the UK you are and when you started university. There are 10 different variants. For some people, it's 25 years. For some people, it's when it's your age 65. I mean, it's complicated. And again, there's full details on Money Saving Expert of when your loan wipes. But let's take the Plan 2 loans that those who started university in England and Wales since 2012 until this year are on. On those specific loans, the stats show only 20% of people are likely to clear them in full before the loan wipes. So you will still have money remaining on your account. In which case, unless you were going to make voluntary overpayments, for most people, the fact that you've overpaid won't actually reduce what you pay in future. So you don't get any benefit from overpaying. In which case, you may as well get that cash in your pocket now because it's not going to help you in the future. Now, how it works from other plans do vary. I would push you to the guide on Money Saving Expert because it's complicated. But I just wanted to give that as an example, saying it doesn't bear the normal logic of I'm paying quite a high interest rate, so I want to overpay this because the debt's going to wipe and before you've paid it off in full. So it is a little bit more complicated on that. And now I get to my very end point, how to reclaim. Well, in a nutshell, if possible, gather your old pay slips, your payroll number, and a PAYE reference number. And you'll have those when you get in touch either online or phone the student loans company. They would prefer it to be online. And you just tell them that you think you overpaid. If you don't have those, I'd get in touch with them anyway. It just slows the process down. But try and do your research to make sure you think this is likely that you did this. Don't just do it speculatively. There is no time limit here. But in a nutshell, it's pretty simple to reclaim. But if you're thinking, oh, that sounds a bit brave, then I would urge you to go to the guide on moneysavingexpert.com. The easiest way to find it is search Reclaim Student Loans MSE, which is the short name for moneysavingexpert.com. I hope you find this useful. Good luck and do let me know if you succeed.